You're welcome back to Hello Nigeria, and it's time for Top Story. And I'm sure a lot of people would get a lot from this guest that we
very
have,
true
a special
indeed,
guest.
Binga. I'm very excited because this is a topic that is very important to me. I'm very big on customer service, and I can throw a big tantrum if I've not been attended to properly. Now, to help us look critically into the area of ethics and customer care, we have Abolaji Idowu, who is a dynamic business and performance coach who helps business executives, professionals, and high-growth startups improve their performance, increase profitability, develop sustainability, and achieve their goals. He's a certified coach, certified chartered accountant, and also holds an MBA from Manchester Business School, UK. Now, this man has a lot that he'll be sharing with us, and I cannot wait to speak with Abolaji Idowu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for joining us on Hello Nigeria.
I think my first question will be, is the customer always right?
Yes.
Wow.
It's simple. Who's paying the bills? The customer is. It's quite annoying for most businesses to think that the customer is always right, but just take the customer out of any business, and what is left?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Interesting. Before we get into the gist of the matter, you have an interesting background in chartered accounting. You're a chartered accountant. What made you go into life coaching, public speaking, and your focus on customer service?
Okay, so first, I'm not a life coach. The life coaches are fantastic guys who can talk about different things, marriage, this, and I can't do any of that. I just focus on performance and business. But I started my life as an accountant. I qualified as an accountant in the UK, and I just didn't like finance. I didn't like the part of debit and credit and closing the month and all those things.
Me too.
So I just couldn't stand it. So I went into consulting, and I did a lot of risk consulting. Out of risk consulting, then came strategy consulting. Because once you start doing things like political risk and environment risk and strategic risk, you start to think of, should I go into strategy? So I went into strategy and then decided to do an MBA. So I've spent my life doing risk and strategy consulting for big firms. But I always ask the question, who does this for medium-sized organizations? Because many of them can't afford consultants. They can't afford the kind of consulting we bring.
And then the majority of the backbone
they are the majority of
they
are actually the lifeblood of any economy. It's not the big firms are very good, they're important, but they are not the ones that drive any economy. It's the medium-sized and small-sized companies that drive the economy. So I realized that what I was doing was not fitting into any of those organizations, and I really wanted to serve them. So I decided, how do I bring a consulting skill into SME? But they can't afford it. So I started to look at that, and that's why I started thinking of coaching. Coaching is very different. One, because the consultant isn't doing the work for you, or the coach isn't doing the work for you like a consultant. It's directing you, but you have to do the work. So you pay quite less for a coach than you pay for a consultant.
Interesting. So you coach people, most especially those in small and medium business enterprises. Now, what would you say are most of the commonest faux pas that people in business make when it comes to attending to their customers or treating their businesses? What are most of the common errors that business owners make?
In my opinion, the first problem is that they think transaction, the product or the service you're selling is king. It's not. So people believe so much in their product rather than the customer. If I sell, what does Nigeria need at this point the most? If I sell electricity, I won't say I won't care about my customers, but everyone needs electricity. So I can treat my customers anyhow. But the moment 20 people start selling electricity, then there comes competition. And there comes the customer thinking, no, you can't treat me this way. Remember, I mean, a lot of millennials will know this. 20 years ago in Nigeria, or maybe slightly more than 20 years, if you say you're going to the bank to get cash, that's the whole day gone. You're losing the whole day. And then you had the likes of GT Bank come in and Zenith and all that, and you could go into a bank and come out in 15 minutes. You know, and it brought competition to those people because the guys that treated you like keeping you there for a day, there was no choice. There were only like 4 or 5 banks in Nigeria then, or maybe more. But it's about looking at the customer, not about the product.
What are some of the core skill sets that good customer service should have, an organization should have in terms of their customer service policy?
Okay, so let's start with the fact that I don't believe in customer service department. You might find that a bit funny. I don't.
I believe everybody in an organization should have customer service skills.
Customer service is a culture. It's not a department.
Beautiful.
I visited a company in Vegas last year called Zappos. You need to find out about them. Fantastic company. What do? They retail shoes. They don't make any shoes, they retail shoes. When you visit Zappos, they'll tell you they don't retail anything. What they sell is service. So they sell the shoes at a premium compared to actually buying it from the manufacturer. But the reason why people buy it from them, because their service is amazing. Honestly, it is amazing. So once you start to understand that a customer is not just buying a product, a customer is just buying a service, or when I mean buying banking or buying a recharge card to talk to, I want good service. I want to be treated well while spending my money. I don't want to go into an organization and in 5 minutes, no one has spoken to me. That's my own personal role anyway. If in 5 minutes no one has spoken to me,
you're very patient. Some of us don't have the luxury of time.
I walked into 2 banks last week, 2 separate banks, I'll mention the names. And the first one, after 5 minutes or 6 minutes, I walked out. Because I was just on the queue, no one spoke to me. The queue wasn't moving.
Oh, that's the thing I don't like about banks, because they tend to act like they're alpha and omega and talk. They just attend to you when they want to. There used to be this funny internet meme of a banker playing solitaire on her system, and then they'll say, "Madam, please, can you attend to me?" And she say, "Can't you see I'm busy?" Because the customer can't see. So now let's look at the service providers. There are times when people make excuses that you don't know what this person is going through. They have a lot of difficulty. How best can service providers manage their emotions, manage pressure, whilst giving customer service, to ensure that they give good customer service?
That is
especially in a hostile
question.
environment like Nigeria.
That is a fantastic example, because I wrote an article about this last year, and I said you've got to take emotions completely out of customer service. Now, that also means that someone would say, what are you talking about? Your customer service, one, should become a culture and a process. If you write things down, I've seen, and I've worked with organizations who, a good customer service agent is based on someone who does something a unique way, not because the company wants it done that way. They're just good. You were just very good at something, and they say, oh, she's the customer service agent for the month. But the question is, why is everyone not doing the same thing? So you turn it into a process. If you turn it into a process and you train the process and you coach the process, then you take the emotions out. If your job, I'm not saying smile is a customer service thing, but if your job,
I think it is.
If your job demands in the process that you smile, then most probably when you're coming into that, no matter what you're going through, and I understand that people have struggles, we all do in our lives, but there are things that when you get to, you're smiling now, I don't know what you're going through, but when you stepped into the studio, you had to drop that. So, and it's because your job demands it. So if customer service becomes a process, a culture and a process, then we take away all those, she's having a bad day, he's having a good day. It's not dependent on anyone. No employee should hold the company to ransom based on how they feel.
But in other climes, like in the UK where you came from, consumer protection is very big, and the regulators do clamp down on bad service. In Nigeria, it's otherwise. You have your flight delayed for hours. They only say a simple sorry. You're not compensated. And you said process and culture. So we're getting very used to this dysfunctional culture because we're not expecting the best service. Or it happens, flight cancelled, flight delayed, or we turn a blind eye to this, or it's the Nigerian, we call it the Nigerian factor. So how can we, in such a difficult environment that people are used to bad service, you even say good morning to some people, they're not used to expecting the customers to acknowledge them. They're shocked. So how do we reverse that?
Again, customer is king. The customer has to demand. You have to demand for service.
But the regulators
even when the
are letting services get away with
this
blue
issue of
money.
regulators you've talked about, it's the same thing happening in a political environment. We keep thinking that these guys will do something. We need to start demanding that they do things. We need to start demanding for accountability, both from the public sector and the private sector. If my bank doesn't treat me well, I will move my funds. It's as simple as that. We need to demand for it. Yes, the UK is way, way ahead in terms of, but shockingly, even the UK, we depend on some regulations from the EU. The regulation that says if your train or plane is delayed by 3 hours, you get full refund is from the EU, it's not from the UK.
I really wish we can have that
Oh,
here in
God,
Nigeria.
then
That would be
everyone would sit up.
amazing. I once was delayed from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and that was when I flew.
I was delayed
This
by a
year.
Nigerian flight in the days of environmental sanitation. I got there at 7 a.m. The plane flew at 5 p.m.
Wow,
there was no single apology. And that was the last time I stepped into that airline. Never.
So now, before we went on the break, we're talking about dissatisfaction. I mentioned the fact that I had been delayed for about 8 hours by a certain flight. And I also mentioned whilst we were on commercial break that it resulted in me being sick because I had also, I couldn't eat at the airport. Oh, it was like one bad customer service to another because I went to buy something. I wanted to buy a snack to eat. The lady was being rude to someone else. Now, you are nice. If they're rude to you, you don't purchase mine. If you're rude to someone that is not me, I don't purchase anything from you. So if I see you being rude to someone else, I just think you're not deserving of my money because you wouldn't treat someone right. So I didn't end up eating anything and I felt really sick. What measures can individuals who have been wrongfully treated by gotten wrong customer service, what measures can they take and how can we contribute to stopping this?
One of the most interesting things in this new 21st century is social media. I'm not the biggest fan, but it works. Social media works. And it's time we start calling out the companies that don't do well. It's time we start calling out. I mean, if you stole the money and you were not treated well, I probably can understand, but you've worked really hard for your money and you've brought it to fly to wherever with an airline and they delay you for 8 hours. We should start calling these people out. Now, again, I deal with companies, so I would speak both from the side of companies and on the side of consumers. Consumers need to demand for service. It's as simple as that. You need to demand for it. And if you don't get it, go somewhere else. I think when companies get to a point where they lose customers, and it's obvious, not that they lose one customer, when you start to lose a lot of customers, you will realize that your service is bad. But on the other side of companies, there are companies that don't know what to do. I find a lot of companies that do customer service training, and I say to them, it doesn't work. Training, one is to teach a new skill or to sharpen an existing skill. Training doesn't change behavior. So I have worked with a company that has spent a lot of money on training and the people are not really they get better for 2 weeks.
So what works?
Oh, coaching works. Because
So how's coaching different from training?
So coaching demands that you use those skills, and those skills are transferred into your work, and you are accountable for action. Coaching it only deals with what you do, action. As I always say, we humans are very good planners, but we're lousy doers. If any of us, including me, if you have a list of things you plan to do this year, it's the end of the year now, and I say, how many have you done? Or ask anyone that wants to lose weight. It's just, they know what to do. I've got to go to the gym 4 times a week. I've got to eat less carbs. Oh, yeah, it's all nice.
Portion control.
Oh, yeah, portion control. Now are you doing it? And it's the same thing in our professional lives. We know a lot, but we don't transfer it to everyday thing. That's what coaching does. It demands that you do it. I just put a challenge to a bank just this week. And I said to them, Give me 10 of your branches and I'll coach them. And in 6 months, compare those 10 branches to all your branch networks. Because it's about behavioral change. It's not about knowledge. It's not about your head knowledge.
Okay, are there any tips that business owners can infuse in their businesses? Now, we know that not all business owners directly run the business with the consumers. They always have employees who then, in turn, do business with the consumers or the customers. Are there any tips that the owners of this business themselves can impute to ensure that their employees behave better towards customers, maybe in terms of relationship with the employee-employer relationship or remuneration? What are the things that are necessary to help employees' behaviors, I beg your pardon?
To start with, money doesn't really change behavior, by the way.
Okay.
If I give you more money, you're still going to behave the same way. Or your behavior might get better in 2 or 3 weeks and go back to you. It doesn't change behavior. That's the honest truth. I'm not saying don't pay your staff more, but you can't pay your staff more and think that their behavior will change. It doesn't work. Secondly, you cannot have a profit and loss relationship with your business as an owner. And that's what I find a lot of businesses do. They check how much have we made yesterday, how much did we make yesterday, how much did we make today, how much did we make last year, how much did we make this year. But you have to look at business numbers. How many new customers came in? How many existing customers? Because your existing customers are the ones that show you that your service is bad. If they don't come back, there's something going on there. So the business owner has to be the chief customer service person. You've got to ensure that your customer service works.
Rather than just looking at the profit and loss.
Rather than looking at profit and loss. You've got to... I have a service for some companies where I call it mystery shoppers. And I'm a mystery coach. Because I'm coaching the business. I either go in as a customer, they don't know me, or I send people that work with me to just go in and test that service. And then you tell the owner, this is what is going on. I'm not telling you Tunde is not doing well, but I'm saying this is what is going on in your branches or in your shops, and you need to fix it.
Reminds me of a TV series they used to show called Meet the Boss, where the boss disguises and then goes to the factory and see what.
And they're always shocked, aren't they, of what they find? They're always shocked.
All the time.
The rumor has it that in past administration, something similar happened with one of our governors, disguising and going into a government school, only to realize that the teachers had turned it into a little bit of a market, selling crayfish.
He would have cried.
Abolaji, I wish we could go on and on, but time isn't our friend at this point in time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Hello Nigeria. Any final tips to Nigerians, business owners?
Customers?
So consumers demand service. That's the first thing I would say. Don't compromise on what you want. If you don't get it, leave. Take your business somewhere else. That will make the businesses sit up. So the business owners, take customer service seriously. You can actually charge a premium if you give a good service.
Fantastic. Thank you very much once again for joining us.
My pleasure.
Abolaji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.